Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is Gringos Liberados. This is episode 6, as we determined. You may or may not have heard that. I am 4x4. That's Rude Dude. That's Hawk. If you're noticing this strange little layout, one, if you recognize this layout, you're a real one. Two, if you don't recognize this layout, look, we got the content out. That's what matters at the end of the day.
And if you're an audio-only listener, I'm
is
sorry
this
for this tangent.
Yeah. Is this an outdated layout? Like, am I using the old
The
school?
the assets have been updated slightly
Ooh.
this season.
I did not realize.
No, and that's okay because it's the same thing. If anyone's gonna, you know what, yeah. But anyway, no, it is. It's gonna be here with y'all. We're gonna talk some Brazilian League of Legends. It was an interesting week, a week in which my predictions were probably the worst they've been in a long time. But for literally every other reason aside from my own ego on this very niche thing, that's a wonderful thing. That's very, very good news. The top four looks unlike what I would thought it would look at all. Rude, I'm just going to start with you, man, because I like same conversation we were having last week. Let her rip, man. Cade Stars, 2 more wins. They took down Loud. Leleko had, I think, a deathless game against Tinones. Phenomenal stuff from him. Sliding in, and then they beat. Well, look,
I'm engagement baiting. Sorry. Brazilians don't come for me. Is it you?
There's the thumbnail. Rudy thinks. Well, look, your last thumbnail prediction came true. Cade Stars, they are one of the hottest teams in Brazil right now. Look, it looks like this top 4 is.
Talk?
Yeah, we should do that. It's a very good idea. While he does that, look, they look pretty much nailed on for top 4. I think it would be stunning if they came down from it. Look, me too. Rude. I mean, from what you've seen, again, we've talked kind of a little bit about all the players who's been stepping up more. Has anything you would like to add to what you've seen from them in these last couple of weeks? You can hype up Leleko. I'll give the reins to you, Mr. VKS Hopium Schiller.
Yeah, and at this point, like it's becoming less and less of one of those closed circuit drugs, and I'm hoping that more and more people can get infected and will just be like paracetamol, you know, or what you call it, I don't know, aspirin, something like that, you know, widely recognized, just absolute, you know, essential for life. It's almost is this VKS hype train, and kind of my theories about how this roster of players could function have gone exactly as I imagined, and then some as well. I thought at the top of the split, Tsukui could be best mid, and I think I said this actually on the show this weekend. Whilst I don't know that they've had any individual top 1, and I think there's an argument for Guigo, which we'll make a little bit later on for that, but I think that the slight overperformance of Smiley in my book, for one, has done wonders for this roster, and the fact that they're able to sub out Tsukui, put in Leleko, who can go deathless versus Tinones, and have a super solid game to Oriana's. I mean, I'm not bothered if your champ pool is like Oriana for the first week of CBLOL. That's a solid start for you, especially when you're thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah. I mean, Hawk, I don't know how many of the games you were able to catch up on, or the results you were able to catch up on this weekend, but look, Cade Stars, they're doing the damn thing, man. And we'll get to the Loud conversation later, but there was Ilha das Lendas. They gave their first round robin MVP to Guigo. How do you feel about that? I'll use that as your launching pad for additional Cade Stars points.
I mean, Guigo's been really, really good, and it's crazy too because, you know, which first of all, I've been catching almost all the games despite drowning in North American work. I've been catching almost all the games, and Cade Stars, they have been a team that, as Rude Dude said, has sort of excelled through pretty much all their positions, which has been great. And Guigo in particular has been a standout in a CBLOL that I think top lane is like ridiculous this split, because we've had a couple of rookies come up that have been performing really well. All the veterans are basically playing the way that we expect them to. And Guigo somehow continues to be the rock for Cade Stars after being it last year as well. Honestly, first round MVP, I think that's hard for me to give out, just because I think that there's a few players that have all been at that sort of MVP caliber level, but it is undeniable. I do think Guigo has probably been at least the most impressive top laner so far. You know, even though some people like Weiser, always consistent, right? Guigo has been very, very impressive with his carry performances. It's been very flashy. It's been very exciting to watch.
I think as well, like half of it is Guigo used to be very volatile, right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
used to be Guy God or Guy gone home, and Guy hasn't gone home at all this
Nope.
split really. So the consistency almost is what's impressive to me, because it wasn't. Yeah, you know, you can have the best top laner, but equally you may have like the 7th or 8th best top laner from game to game. Like maybe his worst game, he's looked 3rd or 4th as a you know, low point for him, which is again genuinely impressive and kind of the reason that I'm there. I'm with the first round robin being Gigo quite happily in my book. Shockingly.
Yeah, but look, you've been vindicated, man. I've also been impressed with Desamis. I've been a known Desamis, not hater. I've never been a hater. of
Doubter.
Desamis.
Indifferent.
Doubter. You're a doubter.
Yeah.
You
There we
haven't seen the division of Desamis. That's what our new fandom's called.
I've
Oh,
been
okay, now I get it. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It does make sense. It does make sense. Division can be used in that sense.
Yeah.
I promise.
That's
I
the
was
first.
mentally on
That's
the
the first
other,
D word to describe a group that I thought of. So
There you go. We are the division of Desamis.
yeah.
It's a really terrible Joy Division cover band. No, but he's been really good. I was impressed with, like, I was watching the Loud game back recently. Because I actually did not see that. That was because I was on set. Yeah. I was like, did I know? I casted the Los game with you, Rude. Not that one. I was like, wait, did I cast that Loud game? No. And what I know, and one, Maokai still really, really strong.
Whoa.
He's still extremely good. I thought we were rid of him. No, it's been 18 months at this point that this champion has been this good. We just forgot about it.
18 months of me walking to an objective, pressing R and securing the objective.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Like unironically. No, and that brings me to my next point. There was a fight up on top side where, like, what do we praise about Loud for, like, kind of their entire dynasty, little dynasty here? They take fights when they want to, right? They are the ones always aggressing, right? And we were talking about it a little bit last week. Is like, look, part of maybe what has been their undoing this week is that their early games look a lot more passive. I don't know whether that's on Croc. I don't know whether that's on Redbert. I don't know. I mean, those are kind of the two you would point to. Everybody else kind of has to sit back, do their job. And if you're Robo, get solo kills and don't get solo killed. And it was Desamis and the rest of Kate Stars looking like the more well-oiled machine. They were first to a lot of objectives. There was a fight around the Rift. I don't know if it was Rift Herald or Void Grubs, but in the top river, Desamis, he was like, Loud was trying to go in. They didn't have a ton of vision, but they were trying to collapse with Robo coming in from the top lane on Olaf. And Desamis was there first. He said, no, guys, they think they run this river. They think they are going to control this river. Desamis says, no, everybody get in this bush. And then they go forward and they wipe everybody off the map. It was again, I don't know whose call that was, but I like to think it was Desamis's, given that he was the one that, like, they were kind of walking forward. And I saw him kind of pixel back into the brush. So I'd like to think that was him kind of calling everybody back.
I mean, what I have always liked about Desamis and why I thought he was so criminally underrated last year is I think Desamis is up there with Carioca as being one of the premier facilitator junglers here in the CBLOL, right? And it's never flashy. It's never impressive. Quite in contrast to, say, Guigo, or honestly how Smiley has been so far as well. Like, it's not a carry performance, and it's not interesting, but I think Desamis is so consistently able to put his team in winning positions, which is why I've really enjoyed following this player. And also alongside Pro Delta as well at support, the other big player that I was, like, shilling for super hard in Split 2 last year. I've been really excited to see these two facilitators have a really good showing and be able to put their team in positions to win the game, because what Cade Stars has clearly shown us is that people like Guigo, Takui, or Leleko, apparently, and also Smiley are able to carry as long as they're put in the position to do so. And having those tools, it feels like Vivo Cade Stars has a really strong understanding of how they want to play the game, which is part of what I attribute their early success to.
I think what I've been, and to sort of circle back on a few of the points you made there, Hawk, what I've been happy on, first of all, they have carries everywhere. All three of them can do it. All three lanes can carry. But also, I want to, we've gone through shielding for the majority of the map. We may as well finish on Smiley as well for this weekend specifically. How about having a new champion released, B, knowing that you have an answer to it, and then B, being able to execute that answer on stage and slamming it, right? Because they go for Smolder, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, this is a champion that is being, really, really highly prioritized by certain teams, and all of a sudden VKS go, Yeah, cool. We're playing Jinx, and this is a champion that we've not seen for a couple patches, right? So yes, she has her time in the sun, but obviously at this stage we had Nada. First game pulls out Jinx, more than happy, and he just absolutely tears it up. So kudos for having his matchups prepared, being ready for the patch, and just the small things that sometimes you won't get credit for, but again, is deserved.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, they ran that Jinx Tom Kench lane. They played it very well. I will say Root and Redbird, they got themselves into some good positions in 2v2s. But again, just Leleko TPing at the right time, them being on the same page as the Samus, and look, Guigo getting a couple solo kills on the Aatrox really doesn't hurt your mid game, to put it lightly. Yeah, he did exactly what he was supposed to. He hit that Aatrox kind of level 9 through 13 power spike, and he went absolutely crazy. So we'll look back to K-Stars probably at some point. But the other team in the top 4 that things are not going so well for, Loud. 2 more losses for them. It has not looked good. To be fair, again, like their only losses, their losses this past split, this past week, I should say, were to 2 other top teams. It was K-Stars and it was Kaboom, the teams that currently occupy 1st and 3rd place. But do we worry that their hangover or we don't really know, their unloudness is coming now rather than in the beginning of the split, or does it still wake me up when playoffs start? Because that feels like that's what I keep coming back to, but I want to know if there are any other differing opinions.
I mean, this Loud team, this last weekend was really frustrating for me to watch for them. They lost 2 games on the wrong end of the Smolder Jinx matchup, and honestly, like, I'm one of those people that hates talking about draft gap or whatever, because there's always win conditions given any draft. But Loud drafted themselves into such a hole in both matches. I think specifically the Kaboom matchup, their draft was disgustingly bad.
I must play TF top lane.
Yeah, like, oh my god, it was so terrible. So terrible. And I just think it kind of comes down to, guys, Smolder's not that OP. Like, he's really good, but I think there needs to be certain draft conditions that are met to be able to pick Smolder. I don't think we can be slamming him on R1 like 2 games in a row. Just don't think the champion's that strong. Specifically in that matchup against Kaboom, I don't know what your win condition is, because they go early Smolder, get counterpicked by the Jinx again, and then they have a skirmish comp topside that can't actually out skirmish Kaboom because they have a Smolder. Like, I didn't understand that draft at all. I don't know what it was supposed to do. ADTF is really strong, but Lonely was able to sit on him. Like, it didn't do anything. If you want to go TF Nocturne, which I think we're going to see more of in the CBLOL next week, I do think it's like a good, like, that style with Atilia as well is super cool, but don't play freaking Smolder with it, man. Like, I don't know. I think Loud looks bad right now, but to answer your original question, 4x4, I think this is one of those weeks that chalk it up to, okay, they played 2 of our other top teams, and they looked like crap with bad drafts. I'm going to just wait for playoffs. Like, this team will still be around.
Yeah, to jump in real quick, this does feel like kind of the first major inflection point of the meta this season.
Yes.
Since we got into season 14, it's like, okay, we are finally seeing stuff change.
14-3 is different. 14-3 is different for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And so, again, I think you could also throw that into the chalk it up to X equation, right? Because they clearly cooked, right? They had early priority on Smolder. It wasn't like, look, like they're limit testing, whatever. And and I know those are like really dumb excuses to like throw around, but like, unironically, and it's a better excuse to throw out for these guys because they've done it in the past over and over and over again. And then again, it's like, why is it with the Kale top? You say, okay, maybe not. Maybe we don't do this again.
There's a lot of instances, right, where, and I think it was Loud specifically, where maybe Robo's like, yeah, I don't really care how I play regular season as long as I make playoffs. I'll just win those games and then I'm fine.
Yeah.
And they will make playoffs, for the record. Like, I don't know if anyone's uncertain about that, but this Loud team will make playoffs. I do, at least personally, and maybe this is moving the conversation forward a little bit, I feel like we have a very clear top 4, and Loud, even though after this weekend you could argue that they're the very clear 4, it feels like Loud, Cade Stars, Kaboom, and Pain are sitting at the top.
I'm not ready yet. Okay, I'm not ready to let go of Red.
Okay. I mean, they have the talent. Red has the talent, but they've...
Exactly. And I'm still not ready. I'm still like, we're heading into week 6, and I'm still here clutching at actual hopium straws going, guys, Red are actually a solid team. So that's where I'd fight you on that point. But Red, I'll say, solidly 5th. They've got a little bit of a gap from 6th, a little bit of a gap from 4th.
Yeah, I will say that the however big the gap you do or don't think the gap between 4 and 5 is, the gap between 5 and 6 is a chasm. There is a clear line of demarcation between Red and Fluxor Liberty Los Grandes Furia. Like that's soup. That is a toughie. Red do have INTZ Los Grandes next week. You have to go 2-0. If you want, like, to make playoffs, you don't have to go 2-0. To shut everybody up, you have to go 2-0 because you made a lot of changes to this roster that could not have been cheap. You made a lot of very expensive additions, tearing away Grefthar from Cade Stars after 1 year. Brunsey, I don't know his contract situation off the top of my head. I confess the move to Fluxu was the massive one. That was the one that they got. He got an enormous bag off that one. Talking about then, was there anything you wanted to say about Red before we kind of move it along here? Because I think you could even look back and say, okay, maybe some hopium is, look, their last 4 games, 1-1 2 weeks ago, they lost to Loud, fine, beat Liberty, great, beat Furia, great, that's what you're supposed to do, lost to Pain. So it's been 2 back-to-back 2 weeks, but you've lost to 2 of the better teams.
It feels, and I may, what, honestly, that goes against me because they lost to the 2 teams that I'm arguing they're as good as. But I still have them in star power, able to fight with all 4 of these top sides. I do think that FMB is maybe, and this is weird because underperforming sounds like a stretch, but as Hawk mentioned earlier on, the top pool is so stacked that FMB is no longer a top 2 top laner in the league.
He's not stood out. He's definitely not stood
last
out.
split, he was okay. All right, cool. FMB's your tank player, and then we have Wiser, Robo as flex players, I'll say more than anything, but FMB has slid a lot further down the top rankings than he needed to for this split, which is maybe where I attribute a fair portion of Red's failings, because I think Aegis still looks chill on carries if they put carries there. Grethar is playing this facilitatory style still. I think that the game on Sunday was actually a pretty big shake for him because he got these 3-4 kills super early on and then did nothing with it. And I was kind of like, well, if you're getting all the resources to be the carry, this really doesn't help your brand, let's say.
No.
I almost wonder if a problem for Red right now is I feel like their biggest carry is Brunsey, and that is in some ways their greatest strength, but also maybe their greatest weakness, because I do feel like watching their games that teams have kind of just identified attack Brunsey. And so it's like
Los from last year, right?
Yeah,
where
honestly,
it was just Natuno. Natuno is the only good player on this team. We gank him, we win the game.
Right. And they have the talent in other roles, but I feel like nobody has stepped up as that consistent secondary carry yet. It seems like Grevthar hasn't necessarily wanted to take that mantle. Aegis has been on a lot of tank facilitator duty. As we just said, FNB has not really been having his best split. So it just feels like Red is in this weird spot right now where they have an idea of how they want to play the game, but they've not really been able to bring it together in a consistent way, which speaks to their 5-5 record.
Yeah. Yeah, it just gave an interesting little, to call it an interview. I mean, we'll go with that. It was Sheppy, right? The lead kind of play-by-play guy for CBLOL. He did something on his socials with Aegis saying, this was last week. He actually, a little bit of drama surrounding it, but I'll do the thing first. He opened up and he was kind of like, look, he's like, look, this was basically the first time in my career where not where I felt pressure, but where the pressure and kind of the stuff you read online has actually gotten to me. Which I think is very interesting just in and of itself, that one, it took that long for the pressure to get to you, because it's not like, oh, this is right after Loud won those back-to-back titles and this is the first time you've experienced failure, right? Mm-hmm. Red had 3 mediocre splits, good, fine, but again, Loud's the measuring stick, and then there was God, remember when Los Grandes they were a game away from finals 2 splits ago? That feels like a fever dream. What an insane roster. But he said, no, this is the first time I felt like it's actually gotten to me, and then I'm going to make a point to open up about it as well. Because usually the problem with those old Red rosters where you had the 10-man roster, even when they were in the Dynasty, was look, they're all best friends. And what do best friends do? They fight, right? It reminds me of NRG a little bit in the LCS, right? That's kind of a thing they've always said is look, we are really, really close. And they have talked about how they disagree with each other a lot more. And disagreeing with each other is great. It's in a relationship, in any team environment, right? Whether it's a 2-person team or a 5-person team. Grievances are fantastic to get out, but you have to know how to do it. right?
Yeah.
And it seems like that was something that eventually hit a breaking point with that last Primos roster that before allowed. So I'm hoping they can kind of figure that out again. Maybe F&B can be kind of the, because he's not like part of the boys, right? Guigo is part of the boys. He's kind of like the older brother or like the older cousin who just like, I don't know, maybe like slaps her every once in a while. It's like, no, stop. That's a stupid thing to argue about. You're being cringe. I don't know. But then what was also wild is y'all remember Drop?
Yeah.
From way back in the day. He for zero just QRT'd Aegis and was like, you're a pro player. You get paid, hundreds of thousands of dollars to play a kid's game. Grow up, like that whole thing. I was like, dude,
you also got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to play this game.
Literally
That's
Drop.
Wild.
I don't care who you are, like whoever you are saying that, super cringe. You're literally Drop. You're a meme, dog. You were in the league.
Explain the meme for A for me and B for those out of the loop.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe he's not as well. Maybe he's not a meme, but like I think a meme. Well, to me, he's just like, look, you are like, if you're a person who is too good for academy, not good enough for CBLOL, and isn't even in academy, by the way, anymore, like just your platform to say that goes away. Again, not that anyone should ever say that because it's dumb, but like, I just thought it was wild that Drop of all people. I expected like an ex-pro. Right,
who had a decent career in the CBLOL.
Yeah.
Like if McCall was already retired.
Seems like
or
a
something.
Thorn tier take, to be honest with you.
It felt like a very well said. That's what it felt like.
Did you guys see? By the way, this is so tangential. Did you guys see that when Nuke ratioed Thorin on Twitter like 4 days ago?
I didn't.
Oh,
but that sounds like something I'd be.
Thorin did something silly on Twitter recently.
Thorin was like flaming Nuke on Twitter, and Nuke ratioed him like 25,000 to 500.
Wow.
It was.
We can take a look at that afterwards.
Yeah, that's completely irrelevant to this conversation. Just thought it was funny, but
it definitely is. Any instance where that happens, we're down for.
Wild.
Let's move it forward to
yes.
A very pertinent question. We have two pertinent questions actually. From
we'll stay in the top half of the standings.
Okay.
For now.
Yeah. That's what we're gonna do.
Who would
that was right. That was right.
Right. Who would you take in a 5-game series right now? Kaboom or Red?
Huh?
Whoever wants to step on that one first.
Kaboom or Pain.
Oh,
Kaboom or Pain, excuse me. No, Kaboom. Okay. Yes. I misspoke.
I'm taking Red every day, baby.
There it is.
Rude still believes.
Yeah. And if you don't have an answer, I can give mine, or we can do that at the end if you guys still want time to think.
I'll take Pain. I would take Pain still in a 5-game, like to win a 5-game series versus Kaboom. Correct?
If they were to play one tomorrow.
Yeah. I think Kaboom.
Not end of the split. Right.
No, wait. I said Kaboom. I meant Pain. I think Pain win it. Because A, if they played a best of 5 next week, it wouldn't matter. B.
That's so good. That's so good.
People's elbow. God damn rude.
Oh,
that's messed up. I mean,
yeah,
it was
that's
right
that's
it was
facts
right there.
though. That's facts.
You know what I always say. You know what I always say, guys. I don't make the rules.
Oh no.
No. Anyway, but I actually think if they did play a best of 5 and it was between these two teams, I really give the edge to Pain, and it's actually genuinely not close. Like I'm taking Pain for a long way here. I think that the fact they only have changed synergy in a BO1 is fine. Building synergy for BO5s, I think, is a completely different thing. Maybe I'm a liar, right? I don't have any team experience, but in my head, the way I would function as a person is if I lose a game and it's draft gap, it's this, it's my top laner INTZ, it's whatever. BO1, I can be like, whatever. It's the best of 1, we move on. If that persists for longer than a BO1, then I start to get a little bit itchy, a little bit aggy about it, maybe. So, not saying that any top laners are inting in either of these sides, because I think that this is like, again, excluding Guigo, maybe our best top matchup that we have. Shockingly, the top 2 teams in the league. But I really want to just give Pain so much emphasis. First of all, just because of, or secondly, I guess, just because I really value the fact that they have the majority of the same roster, and that's
interesting.
A bit of a cop out, but. Also, I have Dinkedo as my regular season MVP. So, I had that
he's been great.
Because my prediction
he's got a
from
sneaky
the
shout for best mid in the league
from the top. Yeah,
for
remember
first
from our first show, my MVP prediction for regular season was Dinkedo. So, you know,
I mean,
looking good.
Dinkedo's been performing. It's an interesting conversation for me because I feel like, I mean, if the question is if they were to play a best of 5 this weekend, I think I would agree. I think I take Pain. I think Pain has been performing at a slightly higher level right now. They just look like a very unbreakable team at the moment. And I will say, I do like how I think Titan has changed the narrative for this team a little bit too, because so often when we talk about Pain, it's consistent, unbreakable, so difficult to overcome, right? But maybe in the past they've lacked a little bit of that like 1v9 kind of I will hands check you. I think Titan brings that, for better or for worse. And so far, it's been for better on this team. I like the way that Pain has enabled Titan. I mean, I just think about, like, the play from last week to end the game against INTZ. Like, the balls to flash into 4 people and one-shot them with Infernum Ultimate for Titan. Like, that was pretty cool. And
that's what you need. That's what you need. Like, all respect to B-Boy. B-Boy was never going to do that.
No, never. Never. And you could tell that the whole entirety of Pain was behind him, right? They had already thrown out the Twisted Vance, or whatever the Maokai Ultimate's called. They had already thrown out the Stranglethorns. And so, like, Pain subscribed to that play, and Titan took matters into his own hands. So I do really like that. I think this is, for that reason, a potentially stronger Pain. Now, if we're talking about season's end, though, kind of maybe to Rude's point, if they played a BO5 this week, it wouldn't matter. Like, I think Pain might be the stronger team right now, but I think I might expect Kaboom to be Pain's new Loud. I'm going to be so real. I think this team has much individual talent. And I really have enjoyed the way Kaboom plays the game. And even though I would say maybe they're a bit more volatile, a bit more mistakes prone, I think Kaboom pushes the limits a lot. And they've had some pretty high level map plays that I've seen a lot of other CBLOL teams not make. And I think a lot of that probably comes from Malrang. And so by season's end, if this Kaboom roster like really comes together, they might be my favorite to win the title at the moment.
Yeah.
I have them second. I think it's a Kaboom VKS final.
I can see that. Kaboom VKS.
If these teams kind of progress like they are, and like even though Loud is heading in the opposite direction, that's the one team of this top 4 that I'm okay with heading in the opposite direction, because they've shown they can bounce back on a dime.
Oh, that's a different reason for me, but carry on.
Yeah.
Rude's like, I'm sick of this team.
I'm done. Give me a new winner, you know?
But my point is, because like you said, Alec, like it feels like they're Kaboom is pushing the limits. Pain have become a more fun version of themselves, right? Cade Stars are playing really good League of Legends. That game against Loud, I really enjoyed watching it. If they all hit their ceilings, playoffs is going to be a blast. Playoffs is going to be so much fun. Yeah. Loud is going to get pushed like never before, because it really did feel like even last split, it was like, look, it's Loud and Pain. Everybody else is playing for second, especially after Los Grandes. Again, when they came within one game, they almost reverse swept Kaboom. Dinkedo, or almost reverse swept Pain. Dinkedo, 2 splits ago, was about to be the only CBLOL player to be reverse swept twice. And he would have done it on 2 different teams, because he got reverse swept on Loud by Pain in 2021. And then they didn't. And then they made that roster demonstrably worse. And then the last split was a bit of a procession for Loud and Pain until it wasn't. I think I would take Pain right now. By split's end, I don't know. Because right now I'd say I'd take them because I think they're playing with a lot of confidence, right? Whereas I think Kaboom might have room to grow. I echo kind of the sentiments that have been thrown around about like by split's end, this team might really level up. But it's also House in the playoffs. Say what you want about Pain in finals. House in the playoffs, not a lot better.
Yeah, notorious.
We've paired him with 3 different teams at this point, and he has done the same thing every time, which is be a monster in the regular season and then just fade with a whimper in the playoffs. Again, not the same. Past we can't. There's an expression I'm looking for here, and it's not coming, so I'm not going to bother with it. So anything else on kind of playoffs? Teams? Yes.
Speaking of playoffs, it's going to segue us nicely into the next question.
Ooh.
We have a top 5. Who is number 6 in playoffs? Because currently,
I have no idea.
Obviously, for all of our video listeners or video viewers, you can see the standings for our audio listeners, we have got 3 teams currently, all sat with the equal amount of wins in 6th place. So Fluxu, Liberty, and Los Grandes are both 4 and 6. And then also, Furia are 3 and 7, and I don't think can be counted out of the conversation.
No.
07 to the brave soldier that takes INTZ here. No.
Yeah,
We'll talk about INTZ in a bit, because it's probably not them. It's interesting. Hank, I think it's so curious that you say you have no idea, because I actually think I favor one of these teams really strongly.
Oh, so do I actually.
If I had to pick
first?
one, okay.
We do it at the same time.
Pick one,
okay.
I will. Well, okay. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me think.
You do yours 404 because I'm not.
I want to hear
sold.
404s. And then Rudin, I can tell him why he's either right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
or we disagree, and it's really awkward.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really funny.
Okay, okay. We're gonna go on. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, go, and then instead of go, we're all gonna say the team that we think is
like
going
1,
to
2,
get
1, 2, 3, say
2, 3 team name exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Los Grandes.
Grandes. Yeah. Okay.
Whoa!
Wow. Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
Right.
I wanted to say Fluxu. I was racking my brain for reasons to say Fluxu because I think they would be a lot of fun. I would love for Food to keep getting his flowers. I would love for Chiari again to keep just having opportunities to perform in playoffs. We haven't seen Chiari in a playoff game since that Renzga final on the Bone Jasuka, right, with the cable cars in 2021. Yeah, I think I just don't think the rest of the team's there. Whereas Los Grandes, they have a much higher floor, right? I trust a lot of these players, whereas on Fluxu, I trust 2 of these players.
Do you think that's weird that you trust a lot of these players? C, super clever.
It is. If you would have told me that at the beginning of the season, in fact, I famously did not trust any of these players. I had Los Grandes fans in my literal DMs. And for the first 2 weeks of this, I swear to God, for the first 2 weeks of the season, there was a Los Grandes fan who, because I put them, I was like, oh, I think it'll be INTZ, right, who will make the playoffs, which again, not a crazy take. Now, of course not. But in the beginning of the season, I was like, no, INTZ, they'll be solidly top 6. There's just no way they don't make playoffs. And then he would message me every time INTZ lost and Los Grandes won. He would message me, INTZ, and then this emoji, the little small pinching emoji. So he made it. And look, respect. I put my opinion on the internet. I didn't get it right. He's called me out on it. That's okay. He wasn't a dick about it. So that's fine. Then he left it alone after 2 weeks. The bit died, which is good.
These teams have been interesting. I feel pretty strongly that it is Los Grandes. Just to talk about the other teams, I think Fluxu and Liberty are mostly here because they have had some really shocking individual standouts. I'm talking about Makes, Fu, those kind of players have just actually been really freaking good. And I don't think anyone really expected that. So props to them. I don't think these teams are really there. Los Grandes, on the other hand, has had some pretty impressive individual play. But I think this team, they have their head screwed on straight and they understand how to play League of Legends at a actually pretty reasonable level. And even though so far, that's only culminated in the 4 wins. They are 4 and 6. I really feel like this is a team that is going to ramp into the back half of the split. They're a little mistake prone, and they gotta clean some stuff up for sure. You gotta win these games that they consistently find themselves in winnable positions in. But to me, I just feel like the fact that they actually pretty consistently are in winnable positions, even against our top teams in the entire league, speaks volumes to how much this Los Grandes team. I think they're just well coached. They trust each other. They just feel to me and look to me like a team that is able to play at a high level, and they're just not quite there yet, as opposed to relying on some individual pop-offs.
And I think a reminder as well, to make playoffs, you don't have to beat any of the top 5 teams. You just have to beat all the bottom 5 teams. And you do that, you make playoffs. So even if the skill level for them, honestly, all of these bottom 5 teams is not there for a game up against, Loud, Pain, Kaboom, Red, whoever you want to put in there, VKS. I think Los are just, I think we've hit it here that they're just a slight bit over the rest of the pack, which is really really interesting. But carry on 4-4.
And not for nothing, they the only loss they have. Through the first round robin, they're 0-2 against Kate Stars. It's the only team they played twice, which, okay, fair enough. And to y'all's point that you just made, the only team they've lost to in that clump around them is Furia. They're 0-1 against Furia. They're 1-0 against every other team, including Loud. by the way.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting as well, talking about the standings as they lie right now, like Liberty just came off a 2-0 week where they beat INTZ, which theoretically is a free win for everybody. Sorry, INTZ,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that later. And then Liberty beat Fluxu, and then Fluxu beat Furia. So, like, 3 out of 4 games were wins for the other teams right next to Los Grandes, whereas Los just played 2 of our top 3 teams in the league and was fairly competitive in both games. The first one was like a 50-minute banger, and the second one was like a 40-minute banger. Like, you know, yeah, this is a team that like has been able to take some of our best teams and not get rolled over. And even though they don't ultimately end up winning, it just speaks to me as, like, this is a team that can play the game.
If Los disbanded, who takes 6th? Do you think it's just Fluxu?
That was going to be my follow-up question. Well done, Rude.
Ooh, that is tough.
Yeah. Yeah, since we agreed on 6th, I wanted to get y'all's takes, and I've been kind of mulling over this as y'all have been talking, and the answer with my heart is either Fluxu or Liberty. Oh, but then Furia, I don't know.
Okay, let me go. I, in good conscience, cannot let Macau make playoffs.
Dude, hey, he's the only one that has played Smolder well in CBLOL. He had the game of his life.
He did. He did. Very
the
good.
Best game in the last 4 years for Macau.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry without getting too negative on it. I think that in a region with such talented AD carries, I don't think that Macau is going to be in a position to take his team to playoffs. Also, because if we remember Fluxu from last split, the reason they got knocked out of playoffs was because of their AD carry getting caught mid lane. They were in a they were in like a match point game. Brunsey steps up on a mid wave, dies. Game ends, series over. I mean, not particularly relevant for a different roster, but you know, like I think that these AD carry moments, whoever you are, whatever team you're on, they matter. And Macau has had notoriously bad positioning so far this split, and I'm not ready to write those sins off of one good Smolder game.
Yeah. And those are the kinds of mistakes that like and this might be just like revisionist history or whatever, like selective memory. I feel like Titan, right? He gets rightful flack for not being kind of, you know, for being inconsistent, but I feel like his mistakes are more the micro, like I went too deep in a fight mistakes, right? Like
I don't know. Broken freaking sprinted sometimes too.
Bro can go too far in a fight. Yeah, Bro can also go into the wrong fight entirely.
I don't know. I have pretty vivid memories of Red Canid's super team last split ending because Titan kept getting caught on mid waves during playoffs. That's just me, but
then I didn't remember them, and they were definitely there.
But yeah, that's an interesting question. Liberty is such a weird team to watch for me because I feel like this team kind of sucks, but Makes and Pilot have been shockingly fantastic. Like, Pilot, remember, was really bad in split 1 of last year, and this split has been really good. And I don't like know where this came from, and it's awesome to watch. And Makes is like my rookie of the split. This guy's just been unreal. In some ways, has been the only thing keeping Liberty alive, especially on Cassante. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Fluxu maybe is the more complete team, but it's honestly, it's hard for me to pick.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of that just like all this kind of looping back around speaks to kind of how we all feel, which is Los Grandes are the most complete team of these 4 and 6 teams, right? Despite the fact that they went 0-2 last week. Again, you lost to Kaboom and Cade Stars. Great. Yeah. They're the 2 hottest teams in Brazil right now. You caught them at literally the worst possible time.
Next week they have Fluxu and Red, which if they go 2-0, that would be huge for them.
It's the bar graph goes up again. We are so back.
Yeah. We are so back. If Lowe's 2-0s, honestly, that probably secures them a playoff spot. Just looking at like there'd be 6 games left. They'd be 6-6 with head-to-head advantage over some of their direct competition.
Exactly.
That is a really good position to be in. If
that's not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout.
That also means that Red are really in the soup at that point. Like,
yeah, Red would really be in the soup because
I think that's an important game for Red.
They've got INTZ as well, so they'd probably still be a game up. But
yeah, so they're going to catch 1 win, but maybe if they catch 2, I think they separate themselves. If it's a 1-on-1 week for Red, then And then we've got a top four. Then we've got a top four.
Then we've got a top four. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Four.
What if? Wouldn't it be
unless it's like they just win the game but don't end the Nexus and lose?
Wouldn't it be the most red Knids thing ever to go 1-1 next week with the losses to INTZ on Saturday?
Absolutely.
Kinda.
Oh yeah.
And then they
unfortunately.
Oh yeah, I can absolutely
really
see that happening. Yes. Yeah. Keep the soup nice and thick. All right. Moving on to INTZ. We'll segue off that. It's been a disaster. It's been an absolute disaster to the point where people on CBLOL Twitter are unironically calling for this team that is synonymous with the league. They have more titles than anybody. They've been around CBLOL as long as the CBLOL has, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Might have been like 1 year later, actually. I don't know. Anyway, people are calling.
People are angry.
People are calling for them to sell their franchise slot.
That's crazy.
They are one of the biggest. They are the biggest team not named Pain in Brazilian League of Legends historically. Right now, I think Loud probably has more clout, but historically, this is like, I mean, if Pain is the Yankees, INTZ are the Red Sox. Like you don't have a rude dude. If
I don't know, dude, you made such a good point. I know who you mean. You know, they're baseball teams, right?
Good. Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say something a little condescending, so it's good you cut me off. But yeah, and they're saying like, oh, just give the spot to Flamengo. No. Don't.
They were notorious playoff chokers.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they were Pain Gaming before Pain Gaming ever thought they could be Pain Gaming.
Pick your poison with that one.
Do you remember Flamengo? I don't know if Hawk was with us when we had the Flamengo disasters back to back, but they went like super flawless in they basically like Immortals and Fanatics where they went
before my time.
They would just stomp regular season and bomb out of playoffs, and I mean like bomb out, not even make finals. They'd just like lose and be out immediately. It was hilarious.
It was a more tragic version of what that Super Furia team did, where like when they won regular split.
Yes.
Well, and it's funny because that Super Furia team was literally made of the Flamengo core. It was the Flamengo core. It was Redbert, Natuno, Redbert, Natuno, Tuts at one point. And then they swapped him out, and they got where was? And not the point. Look, INTZ had a 6-man roster coming into this split.
Put the 6 man in.
That's the thing. Okay, so the question we have in the rundown is: do you blow it up now and start building for next split? Do you get Namiru in there? Look, Ithuza, God bless you. You are the weakest link. Yes, Hawk.
Yes.
Yeah. Resounding. I mean, it's just like, look, like because here's the thing. Like, it sounds harsh, but like, look, when you're 1 in 1,000 and the expectations for you were to make playoffs and maybe like challenge, like, look, if everything went right, maybe there's an outside shot, less than 5%, you win the split. But look, everyone knows you're going to make roster changes in between splits. You have a mid laner in waiting. Literally, things cannot get worse.
Yeah.
You've been losing every single game. The only thing you can do right now is lose every single game. Things cannot get worse.
How you'll be more advanced to answer this. How likely are INTZ to throw money at the problem? I see 5 Brazilians on that roster.
Well, here's the crazy part. They, over the offseason, I should add, allegedly. But they tried they allegedly tried to throw money at the problem last offseason. No one wanted to come.
Oh.
That's a problem.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Yeah, they tried to reconstruct the 2020 roster that won CBLOL, which had Envy in the mid lane. It was Envy, Macau, Joxer, Tay, Shinny, and literally all they got was Tay. Shinny's still retired. Envy was like, absolutely not. I would literally rather go to Los Grandes and like take a paycheck at the end of my career here. I mean, he's not at the end of his career. That was that. But yeah, and they couldn't get Macau, which I actually, to be fair, I don't think they were gunning for Macau. Again, all respect to my 4 CBLOL title haver. So that's the thing. Yeah, they try to throw money at the problem, and everybody's like, absolutely not. We're not doing it.
All right.
Like, how crazy is that you kick Nosferos to the curb and then your weakest position is mid lane?
Yeah,
that was the rub on INTZ. It was the same criticism of Pain with the AD carry position. Is this guy, he doesn't have a killer instinct, right? He's fine, but then he can't win you games.
Yeah,
and you planned so. I mean, Ranger. God, I'll find this later and send it to you guys. Ranger, he's on Iladas Lane does now. He went on a tirade against INTZ. Like Ranger's content creator arc is to the moon. Like not that we ever thought it would go any other way, but he's doing phenomenally there. And he just ripped INTZ's management, saying like, look, he's like, look, say what you want about the players, say what you want about the coaching staff, but this is not on them. This is on the management. And he just ripped into them, just like to the point where like everybody else, like Bayonne, the Revolta, they're all just sitting there like Minerva sitting there, like just his mouth slowly opening and getting wider.
You just need to go up to them, just like
just kind of close it shut. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this team is kind of bad. To be fair.
Whoa! Hulk! I don't know that we can be throwing out those wild allegations.
Yeah. It has
this roster. This team's bad, but this roster should not be 1-9.
It probably shouldn't. And like we have bottom teams in CBLOL every split, right? But like this is one that I'm like, man, it feels like nothing is good about this team. And I really just think if we're talking like, should you blow up the roster? I think they should move on from the entire top side of the map. Entire top side, bin it, start over. I mean, Vital is probably still playing in CBLOL Academy. He has to be better than Ty, right? Like,
I think
get
he
him.
got like this week. I might
go. Owner of INTZ begging through text Nosferus to come back, like that copy pasta. Boom. There's 2 upgrades right there, probably. And I've never been a Yampi believer, unfortunately. I think it's time to move on from Yampi as well.
Is it time to move on from Damage and Ninja Kiwi?
Honestly, maybe.
I think Ninja Kiwi is just. I've lost all faith in.
I don't think
Ninja's the only dude on the team that can play League of Legends right now.
I'm going to upset all the Brazilians and just say that Ayo and Ninja Kiwi have been aside from Macau is in my doo-doo tier. Ninja Kiwi and Ayu have not been in it this split. And whether that's a hot take or not, I don't care. But for me, those are the 2 that like stand out to me as moments are more frequent than anyone else.
I will say it is starting to,
because I think Kojima's looked better than them, and like that would be the other one that you put in. I think Kojima's looks better than those.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I can do that. I think if I was to say that, it'd be because my perception or like my expectations for Ninja Kiwi and IU were higher, so it feels worse that they have fallen short of them, or maybe that the results have fallen short. But I think Ninja Kiwi is the only dude on this roster worth keeping. Honestly, free him, because you clearly can't surround him with the talent you need. I will say the 2 guys who, and I have been a homer for these guys for a long time. If you want to talk about players that I am now kind of out on, unfortunately, and like have lost a lot of the goodwill they built up, Tay and Yampi, and I feel especially
that's fine.
Damage. I've been kind of neutral on. I think he's fine. For me, it's kind of hard to separate him from Ninja Kiwi, but again, maybe that's just I'm not watching certain things or closely enough or whatever. This felt like Tay's last shot. Like,
did you see I think there's actually a really good tweet that he posted, and that was actually like really good to read.
No, I did see that.
Which was like a massive tweet longer from Ty, where he's basically like, I can sit here and tell you that we'll do better next week, but we said that after the first week, we said that after the second week, blah blah blah. It's not happened yet. And the moral of it all was he still really loves competing. He's not done. Like, just because he's playing poorly doesn't mean he's not motivated to improve. And as much as like we're ragging on him a little bit for his performance, I really like admire his mental for what he posted, like having the confidence to go out on Twitter when you're getting dogged like every week in, week out, and put yourself out there as well. Kudos to him for that, first of all.
Yeah. I just it's a tough story when it's surrounding Tay. Like I just think this player's CBLOL story is at an end. I feel like it was ending last year already. Maybe maybe even earlier. Like it's a tough place to be in. You always hate to see like a legend's legacy kind of turn into this, but I really do think like there are young top laners. Like I already name dropped Patao, Hedon, even like that are probably gonna do better than Tay is doing right now, or at least be more consistent.
The fact that as well, Super Clever and Makes came in and were just being chilling, like are doing really well. Probably is like it goes to like the question of what does the rest of the top lane talent pool look like in that
Right.
in academy, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a great point. And I've not been following Academy, so I'm only name dropping the players that I know. But like, yeah, the top lane talent pool. You know, there's good junglers out there. I do think, like, unfortunately, Yampi has just been a constant on multiple disappointing INTZ rosters in a row now. And even though they kind of had a surge in Split 2 last year, that felt like Yampi was playing at like his peak, and he was still just like pretty good. He was like a mid jungler at like peak Yampi. Now he's back to Split 1 Yampi from last year, where I'm like, oh my god, don't put this guy in early game champions because he doesn't make plays. Like it's a tough spot. And yeah, I do think clearly something's not working about this INTZ roster, and I'm usually not a fan of blow it up, but in this case, blow it up.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, start with the mid lane, see where it goes from there. Ithuza will get another academy job. He was good enough there to where he'll be able to lock it down.
Yeah.
Get Namiruin, another 17-year-old prodigy. Like the Brazilian talent pipeline is strong. Yeah, let it rip, baby. We're approaching the end here. I don't really have much else here. It sucks to end it a little bit on a negative note there, but why don't we let's games. Hawk, I did not give you this asset beforehand, so I apologize. But just matches we're looking forward to next week. That is where we will end it. What's your match of the week next week? I have way too many tabs open.
All right, I'm about to read everyone the schedule since I don't
start
have
with a banger. Yeah,
I don't have a screenshot to drop in. I'm just gonna read it to everyone. So on Saturday we have Loud Pain, K-Stars Kaboom.
Hell yeah!
Back to back. It's probably
you can stop reading. You can stop reading. You can stop reading.
Realistically, it's probably one of those two matches. Then we have Fluxu Los, Red INTZ, Liberty Furia, and then Kaboom Fluxu, Los Red, INTZ Cade Stars, Liberty Loud, and Furia Pain on Sunday.
Oh, it's actually just the first 2 games of the week. Wow,
it's
that's
probably
crazy.
the first 2 games. Honestly, I think there's a sneaky argument for Los Red on Sunday. Sneaky argument.
Sneaky argument, yeah. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
However, I would agree that like it pales. Like that's the match of the day on Sunday. If you're watching on Sunday, make sure to catch the 9 a.m. Pacific game. That's what 1 p.m. Brazilian time. That one is probably the like the best one on Sunday. The first 2 on Saturday are probably the best of the week. Loud Pain,
set your alarm clocks, guys. Like you got to be there.
Yeah,
you've got.
I know I'll be there. I'm gonna wake up for
teams. Yeah, the top 4 teams. 3 of them are surging. 1 of them is floundering, but that also happens to be the best team of the last few years.
Yeah,
it's everything you could ever want. It's wonderful.
Now, gentlemen, the question remains: which of these matchups do you prefer? I think Loud Pain. They have the storylines, you know. But honestly, Rude and I maybe alluded to this much earlier in the show when we talked about our potential finals matchup for the entire split. Cade Stars Kaboom are potentially going to be our 2 best teams in the league.
Yeah. No, right now, if you're asking me, I can only watch one of those. Which one do I watch? It's Cade Stars Kaboom. Like 80-20. Because like Loud Pain, like I don't know that a result here is going to tell me. Like it'll give me information.
So
for
what
sure.
if Loud beat Pain?
If Loud are horrible, if they beat Pain, it's just like, okay, well, this is just what happens. Like that's the thing is like the range of results possible for Loud Pain would move the needle for me less than the range of results on K-Stars Kaboom.
Such a good,
That's actually that's a great way of saying that. I think I agree.
Thank you.
Wholeheartedly. Yeah.
All right, glad we cleared that up.
Guys, here's what we also know. Here's what we also know. Is that it's regular season. We all know that Pain's just going to kick Loud's ass. Like, that's how it goes in the regular season. Yeah. Okay, Cade Stars Kaboom, match of the week. That one, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, we're dubbing it.
1 p.m. Brazilian on Saturday. That one, yeah, that's going to be great. I think potentially our 2 best teams in the league going head-to-head. And I'm hoping for some high-level games.
Let's do predictions right now.
Ooh, okay. For this match.
And then when you don't fill your predictions in on the sheet, we can just copy this in for Rose.
Are we going to predict all the matches or like just this match?
No, just this one. Just this one.
Okay.
Give me Kaboom.
Yeah. I mean, I have to go VKS, so you know.
The How's hot streak continues. He's going to lock in his ear. He's going to have another just like Z tier Omega Giga Gaga Dudu Chaba Magico Minumi Numi Boom 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 play. And then he'll flame out in the playoffs again. But this is going to be the one where it's like, crown him. How's the new king of mid? And then it's just all downhill from there.
I think I'm taking Kaboom. Malrang's gonna. I don't know if Takui's playing next weekend, but if he is, Malrang's gonna say, "Hey, remember how you never played in the LEC? Yeah, look at this," and he's just gonna dunk him. That's what's gonna happen.
Damn.
This is why.
You were over in NA while I was in winning finals with Rogue.
Yeah.
Welcome to Brazil.
Welcome to Brazil. I was
Welcome
in
both of us
LEC
to
finals.
Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
It's a coin. Like you're down here too, brother. Come on.
a little shrug.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good
What about
match
you,
though. I do think I'm taking.
It should
Kaboom,
be.
Cool.
Did we
All
do
right.
it? Did we podcast in under an hour?
I think we
We
did.
podcasted in under an hour,
We
boys.
have podcasted. 57
That's-
minutes. Not bad, y'all.
Perfect. We're out of here.
54. The spiel at the
True.
start.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
I don't
true.
know how that went.
All right. So, thank you in advance to Solari for editing this. Thank you, dear listener or viewer, for staying with us the whole way. If you stayed here, see which one of our listeners are loyal. If you stayed till the end, type the word lemon in the comments.
Mhm.
We'll see who the real homies are. All right.
And also
with all that,
type also who you think will win between Kate Stars Kaboom. So Lemon,
yes,
winner of Kate Stars Kaboom. That's what we
Yes.
want to know.
exactly. Yeah, do that in the comments. Tweet at us. You have all the relevant information in the YouTube description. That's Rude Dude. That's Hawk. I've been 4x4. Thank you for being here. We'll see you real soon.